All right, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. This is the Disciplined Agile Meetup, and you're welcome to today's session. We have a special session today, and we'll look forward to the learning today. Um, as usual, if you can continue to tell us where you're joining from, we want to continue to engage with you as time goes on, and hopefully, we will find today a very good session. Very good session. I will bring a member of our team up to do the introduction of the group. Palladius, if you can do that, that will be great.
Thank you, Pete, and warm welcome to our disciplined Agile meetup, our session that are being held on Wednesdays. Actually, we are a dynamic community championing the true value of project management, leadership, emerging technologies, lean, and agile practices. Our mission is to empower professionals and organizations across Africa who want to strengthen their capabilities in agile and lean frameworks and translating them into measurable results. We actively promote continuous knowledge transfer in project management, leadership, emerging technologies, lean startup, and other lean agile practices. Many of our focus areas are agile. Our focus areas are agile. I'm not seeing the screen clearly, Peter.
Yeah, project management and technology innovation.
Yes.
Can you see my screen just to confirm?
It's not full actually.
Oh, okay. No worries then. Um, let's go on to the next.
Yeah, okay. So we are brought up to you by Tete Laurian Consulting, our main host, and we are actually authorized training partner PMI. So we are warmly welcome to our session that is going to be held today, and we hopefully are going to gain a lot from our presenter.
All right, cool. Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction. Thank you so much for the introduction. Okay. Bibi, are you online? All right. I'll go ahead and introduce Caroline. Caroline is one person that one of the people I respect so much. We've been introduced and we know each other for quite a number of years now. And thanks for everything you do for the community, Caroline. I know it's quite late at your side today, but thank you so much for joining today and sharing your skills with us and your knowledge, actually. Today, we'll be looking at Agile Infusion, innovating traditional project leadership with Agile practice. Well, before we dive into that, let me introduce Caroline quickly. So, Caroline Tuo is a passionate technology and business leader with over 17 years of multi-sector experience. She's a rising voice in the agile landscape. Impressive array of certifications that range from PMO ACP to Kanban design, agile leadership, design thinking, and innovation. And of course, advanced agile coaching, amongst others, reflects a deep commitment to advancing the agile practices in Africa and the world at large. I've been in conversations and in sessions with Caroline before I visited your workplace at some point, and we were both, presenters in one of the global, events towards the end of last year. So I have no doubt that we are going to have a very wonderful session today. So thank you so much, Caroline, for coming to share your experience about Agile Infusion, innovating traditional project management leadership with Agile practice. So I'm just going to hand over to you, Caroline, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you so much, Pete. It is lovely to be here today with all of you. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is 10 p.m. in Nairobi, Kenya, right now. So, you guys are going to be the energy that keeps me awake today. Glad to be here and glad that the topic of discussion is my passion topic. So, I will not fall asleep on you today. So if I can just jump right in and
Yeah.
share my screen. Someone confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, we can say thank you.
So allow me to switch off my video so that the video doesn't throttle the bandwidth. I would have wanted to stay on your screens, but let me stabilize my network.
Yeah, that's fine. Caroline, go ahead.
Yes. So today's topic is about innovating traditional project leadership with agile practice. As you've heard from Pete, I have been in the project industry for a while in multiple sectors. I'm in banking right now, but I was in telco and in technology. So the intersection really of project leadership and agile is my passion. Right now, I'm an agile coach by title, but I believe that whatever titles we hold right now, whatever title you have as you sit in the audience, that title is just a part of the skill set that you have. So today I want to call out the skill sets that we have as project leaders and see where we can infuse agile practice and an agile mindset to elevate our project delivery and our project leadership. So let me dive right into it. I wanted to start with a certain melody. My apologies, I'm trying to move. I wanted to start with a certain melody. I don't know if Pete, you're able to play this melody for me from your end.
Let me try it. That means I might need to share my audio as well.
Yes.
So let me see. Do you need me to share the screen as well, or just the audio?
No, just the audio.
Let me see. Come on. Sorry. I might need to restart that. Oh, come on. Caroline, let's just move on. Let's just move on, please. Next.
Oh, okay. Okay, then we can do it a different way. I want you
Yeah.
to indulge me this morning, everyone on the call. I want you to close your eyes and think about your favorite melody, the one that you've loved maybe for many years, or maybe it's a new melody that you had yesterday. The one I was going to play for you was Magic System. It's called Premier Go. And once that beat starts, it is very difficult for me to stay still. So think of your favorite melody. Think of how the drum beat goes. Think about how the strumming of the guitar makes you feel. Think about how the keys of the piano overlap and how that melody then carries you away. So, this melody for me, um, it is the metaphor of what I think agile is. I bet for most of us, our bodies started to sway and move, and transport us to an ease. And for some of us, we just started to dance, whether it is physically, and if it's not physically, if you're not a dancer, mentally, you start to move and your body just starts to move in unison. So this is the metaphor of what I think Agile is. I think that Agile is how our projects and how our organizations should be responding to the beat of the drum that is the change in environment, the change in customer preferences, the change in governance, the change in our regulators, that when that drum beats, our projects don't break, our organizations don't break, they just bend and move to the rhythm of that drum beat. And instead of breaking, they actually thrive and respond to change and get ahead of change for competitive advantage. So for me, I like to liken Agile to the moving of an African dancer. When something starts to beat, you start to move like an African dancer. So that's a metaphor I wanted us to start with today. And our topic of the day then brings us to the question of the definition of Agile. So when you ask a team of people, or when you even open a dictionary and ask for a definition for the word Agile, away from the buzzwords, away from technology, away from project leadership, you'll hear words like flexible, you'll hear words like adaptable, light-footed, which means the beat, when the beat goes down, you just lift your foot and dance. It means perceptive. It means active, graceful, nimble, acrobatic. As you can see, it also means in sync, like in a symphony, and also means fit. So these are the synonyms of the word agile that I want you to think about every time you hear that word this evening, as we speak about your project leadership, as we speak about your planning, your execution, your monitoring and control, your closure. Think about it. Is the way you're leading your team, the way you're delivering, adaptable? Is it flexible such that if a regulator comes today and says we need a different kind of KYC, will you be able to deliver without breaking? Are your people in sync, the people you're working with? Are you a nimble team that is able to know what the left hand is doing, what the right hand is doing, and actually move together in unison like that African dancer? Is your delivery graceful, or are you leaving a trail of blood as you're delivering for your customers and for your business? Are you perceptive as a leader, meaning you future proof, your decisions are future looking? Are you remaining active and acrobatic and fit for purpose? So that is the definition of agile when it comes to the dictionary. But as agile practitioners, we refer to agile as a mindset, meaning something that comes from the way you think. So a mindset of incremental and iterative delivery of solutions. But not just that, it needs to have short feedback loops from your customers. So do me a favor, if you hear jargon or a word that you don't understand, you can put it in the comment section. And I believe, Pete, we can also put questions in a Q&A section in this instance. Then
Sure.
we'll get then we'll get to it. I can't see the comments and I can't see the questions. So if anything requires my attention, you can feel free to stop me.
Yeah, definitely. My team is monitoring the chat box, and then we will let you know. But there are a lot of comments currently around what agile means, in sync, acrobatic, flexible for me. People are saying, in Padua was saying the French song is actually our favorite rhythm too, and so on and so forth. Quite a number of engagement going there.
Wow, thank you for that. I knew I had other fans of a Magic System in the room. So Agile is a mindset at the very basic, a way of thinking that has to be incremental, meaning when you deliver something or when you think of delivering something, you're not thinking in big bang, you're thinking in small increments. So it is a mindset of incremental and iterative delivery of solutions. So the word solutions is in green and it's in bold because many times Agile is related or said to be related to only software delivery. But it's not just for software delivery, it is for building and construction, it is for healthcare solutions, it is for beauty solutions, it is for software as well as hardware, as well as technology and non-technology related solutions. So anytime you read an agile script that was written perhaps before 2020 or after today, when you see agile and you see software related to it, just think solutions. Think of where you're working right now, or think of any issues that need problem solving, even domestic wise, if you have a project that you're building or you have a mentorship consultancy that you're doing, think about anything that is requiring solutions from us can be delivered in terms of agile, meaning you can deliver it incrementally, you can deliver it in small iterations, and you can ask the customers that you're delivering for feedback while you're doing it. So basically, that is what agile is. And the agile mindset is made up of 4 values and 12 principles. This you can find, we will not deep dive into this, but you can find the 12 principles and the 4 values. Go to find all the 4 values and the 12 principles. Now, so the subject of our discussion today is in the practices that then manifest from this mindset. Yeah. How Agile then comes to life in your project or in your organization is what the practices that we're talking about today. So if we
All right. I think we just lost.
my apologies. I was thrown out.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I think it's about the bandwidth. So let's reshare your screen and then we go from there.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
My screen now.
Yes, yes, I can say. I will also go off camera, so just to help the bandwidth.
Thank you. We're being agile. So the bandwidth dropped me off, but we jump back in and we move on. So I was talking
Absolutely.
about the agile mindset. Most of the time, what you think is what manifests in how you walk and how you work with people. So if you have an agile mindset that is defined by the 4 values and the 12 principles, and you're thinking of iterative, incremental delivery of solutions with short feedback loops to customers, there are ways of doing that. So historically, there have been a lot of agile frameworks and methods. Some of them don't like being called methods. They refer to themselves as frameworks, but all these are united by a mindset of incremental and iterative delivery of solutions. Whether you're doing Scrum or Kanban or extreme programming, or whether you're scaling it with the scaled agile framework, Nexus, or disciplined agile, you are actually trying to deliver an agile mindset of delivering in incremental and iterative ways. And you're also at some point trying to get feedback from your customers so that you can increase the value of your increments every time you deliver something to your customers. Now, disclaimer for this one is don't get caught up in the framework wars. It is not whether you're doing Scrum and Kanban that matters. It is whether that way of working is working for your customers, for your organization, for your people, and for you as a person. So don't get so caught up in which method is better than which. It is much better to ensure that you're actually delivering value without leaving a blood trail in terms of your governance in the environment you're in terms of your colleagues and how they work with each other, and even the culture of the organization. So today, when we are talking about the practices, we will not be talking about the Scrum and the Kanban and the Nexus. We will be talking about which practices, what agile mindset can you infuse into your project leadership so that at the end of the day, you have quality and valuable output for your customers and for your business. After there, is there any question on the?
No? We had one a while ago. Just my question saying, can we have the approach in sales? That's for Agile, and then maybe the adaptability of the same for wherever we are found.
Lovely, and I would really love to take that one because it is something I have a lot of interest in. A lot of salespeople go into the market to sell. So they go out as a conduit outwards, but coming back into the organization as a feedback loop to the teams that are working on the projects, that is where you get breakages. So Agile in a team that is a sales force is very powerful because the salespeople then plug in to the project teams to act like a feedback loop. So for instance, if you're building I don't know where the person works, what they sell. So let me take the example of, for instance, they're selling internet. Yeah, because it's at the top of my mind right now. You're selling internet. You are the person who talks to the customers every day. You're the one who knows what kind of bandwidth your customers want to buy. You're the one who is better placed to ask them questions like, is our service good for you? How often do we disappoint you? What can we do better for you? Are there things that we can layer on the internet that can make your business thrive better? And then you take that information and give it back to the project team, and they keep on incrementally and iteratively, continuously improving the service for your customers. So the sales team is not separate from the project team when it comes to Agile. They sit and collaborate with the project team. I hope that sheds a light on that, but I'm very sure as we move on with this presentation, there will be light bulbs going off as to how important it is to have a salesperson with people who are building for customers. So the case for Infusion, why infuse? Why pick a tailored approach that has both traditional project leadership and agile? Sometimes we say, why fix what is not broken? But then we answer with, we need to future-proof and make it better. Not that it's broken and there's nothing wrong with traditional project leadership, but we want to continuously improve for our customers and for ourselves and for our businesses. So as we go through this next part, I want you to think about your area. What challenges are you facing or have you faced that could be helped by this infusion of agility, either in mindset or in practice? Number one is flexibility. So Agile, you will see, accommodates an evolving criteria and evolving stakeholder preferences. I will not ask you to raise your hands, but how many of you have been in the middle of delivering something and the success criteria just evolves because maybe the board has said something, the customer said, I want a blue cup, and then when you've already painted that cup blue and it's shining and it's beautiful, they say, on second thoughts, now we want it red. How many times do you go into a stakeholder progress. You're thinking you're going to give them progress, and then they say, now we are going to pivot. The business no longer wants us to build a 4-story building. We are going to build a boat. So Agile comes in to help you to deal with that evolving criteria so that you don't pull out every strand of your hair as a project leader. And we'll see how in the coming slides. Another challenge that Agile is coming to plug is to help you in improved communication. And as we said, the rapid feedback, either from the customer or from the stakeholders, because you will see that in Agile, a lot of frequent and face-to-face interactions and collaboration, business people and technology people working together daily to deliver for customers. And this brings a lot of clarity and removes a lot of secrecy in the project. The third challenge that infusing your project leadership with Agile would help you with is incremental delivery. Why traditionally we build things for a long time. For instance, you plan a delivery for a whole year, and then you can only get value for that delivery at the end of the year. So in Agile, we're saying we want to break down our delivery into small iterations so that even after the first 1 month, we have something that, though it is not completely finished, it is a feature that a customer can use and pay you for, or it is a feature that your colleagues can use and get value from while you're building incremental features on top of it. So delivering in iterations will allow us quick adjustments, so that if I'm building in iterations of 2 weeks, after 2 weeks, if a stakeholder comes back and says, I don't want a red cap, I want a blue cap, you know what? In 2 weeks, I wouldn't have built the whole cap. I'll probably have built a mock-up of it, and or a prototype of it, and I can change easily. The fourth one that we're trying to remedy is we want to get the best of both worlds. A lot of us love the structure and the governance that comes with traditional project leadership, but also want the freedom to make decisions and pivot and be flexible and harness change and be able to dance when the regulator or the customer changes. So we want to combine these two so that we can have the best of both worlds. The next challenge I want you to think about is, are you sometimes like me, do you get fatigue from being the person who always leads? Because if you've been a project manager or a program manager for a long time, you know that when you walk into the room, everybody looks at you. But you want to get to a point where when you walk into the room, there are others like you. And you want your team to grow in leadership, especially if you have a cross-functional team that has different skill sets. You want them to be able to stand up in front of the stakeholders and explain the solution just like you would have, so that the team becomes a team of leaders and so that you don't burn out. And then last but not least, tailored solutions. Agile is very well suited for novelty. So where you are working on a solution that is new, or where you are the new person to that solution, Agile will enable you to leverage other people's expertise in your team. Agile will also enable you to tailor fit to specific customer and business needs. In case one customer wants a blue cap with gold shimmer and another one wants a blue cap, but this time with a matte painting, you're able to build a prototype and then tailor it for different tastes of customers. So up to there, is there another question? Or we can dive into...
None for now, Caroline. If there are any, we'll just take notes so that once we are done with the presentation, we can then take them together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now we can dive into the actual mindset and the practices that are these infusions we are talking about. So when you hear an infusion, I don't know whether you remember diffusion and osmosis. I always mistake the two. There was one where the molecules were moving from where they're highly concentrated to where they're lowly concentrated. Either way, it was mixing something. And when we're mixing something, we're trying to give it a good aura, or we're trying to give it a good taste. Think of it like putting honey in your lemon water. So let's jump into putting the honey that is agile into your lemon water. When it comes to project initiation and planning, I remember drawing from my experience as a project and program manager. When it was time to plan the project, a lot of it was on me and on my other project managers. You get all the requirements from the 50 people who want to talk to you, the salespeople, the business development people, the technology subject matter experts, and you sit down with your Gantt chart and you start to plan. Now, a lot of times you're planning from a limited knowledge, or you're planning from the knowledge that you've gotten from other people. But what if you do it differently? What if you infuse some agile into it so that you shift from the siloed planning to a synchronized planning that brings in iterative and collaborative planning? Now, what do I mean by this? I mean, instead of sitting down with your Gantt chart, you bring in your subject matter experts. So if you are, for instance, building a mobile application, you will need someone who is skilled in user experience. So you bring in your UX person. You need someone who is very skilled in go-to-market strategies. So you bring them in so that they can help you plan that go-to-market strategy. You need somebody who has been in touch with the customers on a day-to-day basis. They know the customer pain points. They know the commercialization. They know the sweet spot that is in costing. So you bring in your salesperson into this team. Then you look for your subject matter expertise who will help you build the brick and mortar if it is the servers. You bring all these people into one room, and instead of bearing the burden of planning alone, you plan together with these people. And this can be done on different levels. At a team level, you bring in your team and you plan with them. At program level, you bring in a team of teams. So a team of teams would be people or project members who are working on something that is closely related to yours, but maybe you don't work with them every day. But the goal of what they are working on has a dependency on you, or you have a dependency for them. So at team level, you can sit and plan together, but also at program level, if you're a program manager, you can bring the team of teams together, maybe perhaps not so often as the team that sits every day and perhaps plans every 2 weeks, but you can sit with a program level team of teams, perhaps monthly, so that you see whether your plans and their plans are in sync. And this can also be done at portfolio level. So maybe not as often as at program and at team level, but at portfolio level, you can meet all those teams that are planning quarterly together. So I'm avoiding using the names that are usually used for this collaborative planning because I don't want you to be stuck on the methods and frameworks. But just for the sake of bringing this home, this could be at team level, it could be sprint planning. Then at program level, it could be something like a monthly planning at program level, a PI planning. Then at portfolio level, you could have your executives coming together to do a lean planning or to check the plans at their level. So this helps you to scale planning across teams, whether you're working with just one project team or a couple of project teams delivering a program, or even a couple of programs delivering a portfolio as a project leader. Then I can jump into the biggest shift perhaps for a project leader who has been planning Big Bang is in the way that now you will need to plan your analysis, design, development, and verification. So again, this can be for away from products, away from software, away from even technology products, because I believe even in construction projects, you collect requirements. Maybe it is in another form, but you collect the requirements of what is to be built, and then there are designers who I believe are architects who design the solution that you're delivering, in this case a building, and then there are the developers who are the construction workers who come to work together, and then there's the verification, which is perhaps someone coming to inspect the building. So the difference and the big shift here is you are building first a prototype, which you can call your minimum viable product, which nowadays we like to coach that your minimum viable product also needs to have a minimum viable customer experience. So you build that small increment. After 2 weeks, you need to sit with your team and see what they've done. And seeing what they've done is not seeing a PowerPoint presentation or a PDF presentation. It is actually seeing the actual product. So if you are building a pen, and right now all it does is write, but you can't hold it, but it can write. So you give that product to a customer to use it and see whether you're in the right direction or you're in the wrong direction. Then you keep increasing the value of your product, and you never stop, because for as long as you're dealing with customers, they will give you feedback on how to increase the value of your product, either by reducing features or by increasing features. So the big shift here is, instead of planning a 1-year project or planning a 3-year implementation, Agile is calling for you to plan in small iterations. Plan in either 2-week iterations or monthly iterations, depending on your environment, so that every month or every 2 weeks, you're coming back to the team to check on whether you're in the right track or whether you're on the wrong track. And when you're checking whether you're on the wrong track or right track, you need to bring in your stakeholders. This is where they'll give you that feedback early enough and reduce the risk of working on a project for a whole 3 years only to find out that the customer moved on, or the stakeholders moved on, or the budget was pulled and you didn't know, so there's no go-to-market strategy. So that is the major shift from traditional planning and delivering to the agile planning and delivering. I hope it's landing somewhere. Is there anything in the comment section or in the Q&A?
We have a question, but we can take that after the presentation. So you can
Okay, thank you. So the next shift applies to execution. And so when you're executing, usually in the traditional way of doing things, because of the tools we used, or maybe because of the leadership stance that we use when we are project and product leaders, a lot of information is not apparent to everybody. So Agile is calling on us to put away the hidden spreadsheets that we only show to the people who we need when we need them. And it is asking us to practice information radiators, or tools that aid interaction. For instance, so this is not a paid, I'm not being paid by Jira or Azure boards. I just want to mention them because they are collaborative tools. So instead of hosting your project information on your machine, where it is not visible to everybody, you host it digitally, especially if you have a distributed team. You host it digitally where anybody can log in and they're able to see what is in your backlog, what is in progress, and what is complete. this type of information radiators, as we are calling them, will help you even quiet down the stakeholder noise that we have a lot as project leaders, because stakeholders can also log in and see how the team is progressing. A more traditional way of doing it that is also very, very effective is if you have a project space, you can just put up either a Kanban board or a Scrum board, like the one you're seeing on your screen, that has, it can even have just 3 columns: to do, in progress, and done. So in the to do column, you list the things that need to be done. And every time the team starts working on something, you move that piece of work to the in progress column. You can even have one called blockers, so that if there are any blockers, you move them there. That way, any other leader or any other person who can help you to unblock, walking into the room, can know this is where the team is and this is where the team is blocked. Another way of radically changing transparency is ensuring that your team is not using PowerPoints to show you progress. So practical demos. One of the principles in Agile is a working product is a measure of progress, not a flashy PowerPoint, not a beautifully written poem. No, it is a working product that shows the measure of progress. So call your stakeholders and your customers into a room. Let your team show them the actual product that they're working on. Even when it is not complete, they'll be able to get progress. They'll be able to understand the progress when they see it, and they'll be able to give you feedback. They can pick up blockers. They can tell you, they can give you feedback that would not have been apparent if it was just a PowerPoint. Another way to radically shift and make sure that there's transparency is the daily stand-ups. Sometimes they're called daily scrums. So 15 minutes every day for your team, not just to give each other progress updates, but to check the progress towards a goal. So if your goal was to go to market with a product by the end of March, every day for 15 minutes, they are checking that they are on track to go to market at the end of March. Yeah. And this is where you also now pick up what is being completed and what is stuck, so that nothing can be stuck for more than a day, because you are daily meeting to check on this. This was an illustration of a Kanban board. This is a very, very simple one. So for instance, today we've moved the introduction bit, we've moved the introduction bit of this presentation to done. We've moved the what is Agile bit of this presentation to done. And we have moved the why we need to infuse Agile into our project leadership to the column done. And then we're in progress in terms of discussing radical transparencies. There are topics that are yet to come, so they're in the to-do list. But most importantly, you can see that there is something that could be blocked. So this is just an example. So as a project or a product leader, when you walk into a room and see a board like this, or when you log into your collaborative tool and see a board like this, there are very few questions left unanswered. Even before you talk to someone, you'll know how the team is doing, how many things they've finished, what is blocked that needs your attention, what is still to be done, and you're able to see the flow of work. Yeah. So that was a practical illustration of the radical transparency. That is a shift that we need to have. If this was in your local machine, someone would have to have access to your password to log in and know where to go, which file, which folder. But now, because it is it is radical transparency with radiators, information radiators, either on a wall, physical wall, or on a collaborative tool, you cut out that pain. So instead of 500 emails, it is just one glance at a board. So the next shift that I would like to challenge us as project leaders with is to value outcome over output. And what does this mean? You track the actual value of the work. So if you can see the illustration there, you can guess that the customer here wanted to be able to move from point A to point B. So project leader number 1 built this customer a skating board. It's called a skater. The first 2 weeks, the customer was able to move from point A to point B, but then they gave them feedback that I'm able to move from point A to point B, but I'm falling off a lot. So they went back to the kitchen and cooked up a skater board, but this time with a handle where the customer can hold on to. Think about this in your situation. What is that solution that the customer is asking for? Sometimes the customer asks for, maybe their problem is that they are thirsty. But instead of getting the customer water, if I can put it like that, you go and make a spinach smoothie and add omega-3 and add vitamin C with collagen. I know the ladies know what I'm talking about. So you enhance and you gold plate solutions so much, but yet the customer just wanted to move from point A to point B. And if you delivered something small in 2 weeks, they would have told you, this is lovely. I just need only one more iteration and I'll be okay. Perhaps even this customer will be happy and satisfied and they'll be happy to give you $1 million at a bicycle. They don't need a convertible. So project leader number 1 built iteratively and they were given a tick. Now project leader number 2 decided if the customer wants to move from point A to point B, I'll build them a car. But how they are doing it is systematically. And they are first building, getting 1 wheel, and then they get, after another week, they get 2 wheels, and then they connect them together. And you can see that this way of working means the customer will only get to test this product at the end. And if this takes 3 years, after 3 years, the customer will either say, I moved on, I bought a new car, or I found a scooter, and I don't need you anymore. So what I'm saying is track value. And very closely related to this is the practice of measuring what matters for your organization or for your environment. So sometimes what we are tracking is a number of tasks instead of tracking what the actual value is. So if I can go back to the question on the salespeople are very good at letting you know if what your work is doing is valuable or not. Because here, if there was a salesperson, they would have made perhaps $20 the first month, $40 the next one for the improved skater. And by the time they get to the motorized bike, they're making more money. But you see, a salesperson being told to sell something that is not working at all, cannot help the customer move from point A to point B, is not valuable. So again, this is calling us to make sure that we're measuring what matters, progress over perfection, but also or at the end of perhaps a longer timeline. How am I doing on time?
Yeah, you've got about 5 minutes, but again, we can stretch it a little bit. So let's say almost there. Yeah,
Okay.
5 minutes. Yeah.
Thank you. So something else that usually as project leaders we might neglect is what we call capacity versus load management. We have if your organization is like mine or if your life is like mine, there are very many things to be done, but very little time, or finite things to be done with infinite resources. And when I say resources, it could be the servers that you need, it could be the brick and mortar that you need, or it could be the budget. So a lot of things to be done, but little budget. But sometimes we hide and we don't say these things. we bring work to the team that we know they don't have the capacity to deliver with the time they have and the budget they have. So here Agile draws from Kanban, which institutes work in progress limits. And what does it say? Basically, if you can look at the screen, you'll see that the red numbers are limits, meaning, for instance, this Kanban board has a column called backlog, which is the number of things that needs to be done. And then there is development, which is what the team is actually working on. Now, this team has looked at their capacity and they know, because of how many we are, because of the budget we have, because of the 24 hours we have, we can only work on 3 things at a go. So how is this helping them? It helps them to stop starting a million things and not finishing anything. So they'd rather work on 3 things, a limit of 3 things at any one time, and make sure that they finish that work before they pick up anything else. So my question to you would be, in your organization right now as a project leader, are you honest enough to look at the capacity of the team versus the load that you're giving them, or even you as yourself, your capacity versus the load you're trying to manage? Because you'd rather start 5 things every 2 weeks and complete and have some value coming in every month than start 20 things and they've all started and they're all sitting in work in progress, but they're really wasteful for you because they don't give you any value. So that is a challenge to us as leadership, to focus on limiting work in progress so that we can increase throughput. Throughput is the amount of work that the team is able to take in and finish all the way to the end till the salespeople or the customers or your colleagues get value from the solution that you're building. So now, as I end, a lot of us focus on the work, and even everything that we've talked about right now has been focusing on the work itself. But every iteration, as we are closing on the work and we're reviewing the work, we also need to breathe in and breathe out and inspect our ways of working with each other, so that we know at the very basic what is working with the way we relate with each other, what is not working, and what can we do every iteration to make it better, to make the environment better for our teams. So this is where you practice retrospectives. So retrospectives focus on the people. So during the review, you're focusing on the work, you're doing the demos on the work, but during the retrospective, you're focusing on the people. And there are very many techniques of focusing on people. You can give them retrospectives such as the 3 L's retrospective, which is you ask them what they learned, what they loved, and what they lacked in the last iteration of working together. This is where you hear people saying, I don't like the way maybe you shout at all of us. When you shout at all of us in the morning, we can't work. That's why we're not able to finish. And then the person will say, I am not shouting. That is how, in my community, that is how we address each other when we are happy. And you start seeing that cohesiveness in the team. They start understanding each other because this time they're not talking about their work. They're talking about each other. So they also come up with things like maybe once in a while, let's have lunch together away from the work and bring that cohesion to the team. And in finishing, I would like to present perhaps what would be the most challenging mindset shift. If you've been a project leader for a long time, you're used to wearing a directing hat, meaning you walk into the room again and you're the one who is responsible and accountable for all the work. So the move here is moving yourself from an expert who answers to a leader who enables. So you're enabling your people with a leadership style called adaptive leadership. Adaptive leadership means when it calls for you to direct, Perhaps maybe when you're giving your team the priorities of your backlog, you direct. If it calls for you to take a step back and allow the subject matter experts to plan the work themselves, you take a step back and do that. Yeah, so this really calls on your leadership stances to also be agile, because you need your team to be autonomous and take ownership and be innovative. And this kind of work can only be fed if you are if you embody an adaptive leadership style. I had wanted to give us a retrospective. Let me see if I can get the link to the comment section so
Yeah,
that we can a live retrospective.
yeah, sure. We can also share it later as well. So if you can put it in the chat box, that would be good. At the same time, we can share in the message that goes out later on as well.
Okay, then I'll do that. Then so at this juncture, I'd like to say thank you, Asante, and merci for your time, for your energy, and maybe we can have the open discussion or the Q&A session from this point.
All right, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. Um, it's a very good one. We'll go straight to, I think we have two questions now. One from Motola, we just came in, and also there is one outstanding from Jackson. Ebenezer, thank you for your support with the questions up until now. Um, I believe I can help with that question. All right, so Jackson is asking a question, Caroline, around uh, telecommunications project. So his question is, from a mind's perspective, also from experience in telecommunications project, I always wish to implement Agile, but can't see my organization practice this. Does Agile works only on software projects? A bit explanation will be appreciated. So Caroline, if you can hear me, that's a question from Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson, thanks for that question. I'm actually originally from a telecommunications background. I think the shift for that industry, um, I think give it some time. You'd need to be patient. There's a lot of advocacy that is required because people have been working a certain way for a very, very long time. So they want to, first of all, set up the towers, and then they want to engage a vendor, and then they want to go to tender, and they want to do things in that sequence. And they've been
Mm,
used to doing things in that sequence for a very, very long time. But for instance, if we are to layer new technologies on top of traditional telco, for instance, if you want to layer new, um, perhaps a software defined network, or your customers are asking for other things like uh, voice over IP on telco, it will need to take a different type of project leadership,
yeah.
which is very you need to do prototypes, you need to do MVPs, and for this to work, you'll need cross collaboration of very many different types of engineers and not just telco engineers. And in saying that, that in itself is agile. So maybe you
Mm,
might not go for the whole big bang agile, but you might actually need an infusion, just bits and pieces that they would be
mm.
willing to pick just to improve services or innovate on the in the telco side. But I have seen it work It took
Yeah.
a while, but I've seen it happen and it's possible.
Yeah, well said, Caroline. I've got a very strong background in telecommunications as well, and I've seen Agile works very well in telco. Under the big umbrella of Agile, just like Caroline mentioned, there are several frameworks under here. You may not be the Scrum team that works on in telco, but again, I think the best Kanban method that I've seen is in telco. When it comes to uh, design thinking as well. That's where I've actually practiced very, very well as well. So there are quite a number of ways of working that can definitely work in telco environment. Jackson, we can have a chat around that offline as well. Cool. One more question that will be here. We have one from Omotola. Omotola says, "Thank you for an insightful session. My question is, in your experience, what metrics or observable leadership behaviors best indicate that leadership itself is becoming more agile beyond just teams adopting agile ceremonies and practices?" So this is more around, agility at the in the leadership team versus just the team. Caroline?
Um, in my experience, how we've measured leadership agility is periodically checking either in terms of as coaches seeing indicators or doing what we call an agile leadership maturity surveys. So there's a scale that goes from the way a baby develops. They sometimes they crawl and then they walk and then they run and then they fly. So those markers, for instance, for crawling, you see the marker that leaders are set on how work is being delivered and they are being very micromanaging the work and micromanaging the people. And then, so that would be somebody who is crawling in their agile leadership. When they start walking, a marker would be they are setting the outcomes and then they let the team decide on how to deliver this work. And maybe the highest level of this agile leadership maturity would be where they allow the teams to be accountable for how to achieve all outcomes. So from a leader who gives the work and tells you how to do the work to a point where that leader is recognizing that you're the subject matter expert and giving you the outcome that they required. Perhaps they require 15 billion or 20 billion at the end of quarter 4. And then they let you as a team decide, are you going to build something new? Are you going to improve existing service? Are you going to go out and sell? But they let you be accountable and responsible for the outcomes without telling you exactly what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. But as agile coaches, we are trained in how to check for these metrics.
Mm, yeah. Well answered. Thank you so much, Caroline. Another thing I'll just quickly mention, Motola, is in order to see those behaviors, you want the leaders in the room as well, and you want them to actually have their team, the leadership team, to be an agile team as well. So, for example, my trip that I am currently on is because I want a leader in the room for more like a quarterly planning event, which just happened this week. So that's something that cannot be delegated. That's when the foot soldiers, the team themselves, they can see, oh, our leader is agile, not perceived as agile, is agile. And so I definitely have to be agile, just to have to what Caroline's mentioned. All right. Looking at time, Salema, you have your hands up. Let's have your comment or questions quickly, and then we can quickly round up.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. Caroline, thank you for a well-delivered topic. I just want to find out in real terms, practically, how do we manage the duration of agile projects along with costs, given the continuous feedback we get from customers and the changes we made, the iterations we make? How is duration of completion of a particular product and cost managed? Thank you.
All right, Caroline, do you want to take that? Yep, you're still mute.
Can you hear me now? I had
Yes, we can hear you now. Yes, we can hear
a
you.
challenge on meeting. So you know the triangle, the project management triangle, the one that has cost, scope, and time.
Yep.
How you manage um, them is you fix the cost and you fix the time. For instance, let's say in Scrum, the time is every 2 weeks, you have to deliver something that is potentially shippable to the customer. So that time is not negotiable. When this sprint ends, the next sprint begins. So you constrain the team in terms of cost and time, but you allow them the flexibility of scope. So for instance, if during the 2 week period, the customer asks for a new feature, what the team then does is they will negotiate with the product owner who negotiates with the customer and say, if we are to remove feature X, we need to replace with feature Y so that the cost does not change and the timelines also do not change. That said, that is very theoretical, and the proof is actually in the doing. So in different environments, different things will crop up, but that is the ideal way of doing it, is to fix the cost and to fix the time, and then to leave the scope flexible so that there are those negotiations.
Yeah, that's very good, Caroline. Really, really appreciate that. I hope that has answered your question, Salima. Again,
Yes.
yeah, cool. So in Agile, most of the time, you deliver value as early as possible, and so the perception of value delivery actually at if everything goes on well, you see that the value is delivered just before the budget runs out. And then there is no gold plating if everything goes on well. But you will also know that in waterfall as well, or traditional project management, cost overruns is common, right? Despite the fact that we fix the cost, they still have to go back for more money and more money and more money. So again, just like Caroline said, it is in the doing. It definitely is in the doing. All right, we will quickly round up from here. But before we round up, I just want to say thank you to everyone sticking around for this one. And Caroline, it is a very, very, very educative session that you've given to us today, and of course, well engaging. Thank you so much for your time. Before I hand over to Joseph to round up for us, just want to send the PDU codes into the chat, which I have already. So for you have 1.5 hours to claim for attending this session, and the PDU code is in the chat. Also, team, if you can do that, that will be good. One other thing I'd like to say is at some point we will share the recording for this session and make it available to attendees. And also, Caroline has dropped the link to the idea boards in the chat. So feel free to bookmark that, download it, and bookmark that. We'll see if we can get it across to in the email that you will receive at the end of the day. So that is it. Again, please let's keep connecting. It is very important. Andrea, good to have you again. Thank you so much. You've dropped your LinkedIn link. Please let's connect on that one, everyone. Josepha?
Yes.
You want to
Good,
close the, yep.
good evening and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for today's session. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for today's session. Thank you for joining us in this wonderful session. And as we are coming to end of our today's session, let us once again give a big round of applause to Caroline for her insightful presentation on Agile Infusion, innovating traditional project leadership with Agile practices. She did a very wonderful presentation, and personally, I have learned a lot. Her session has shown us how Agile can transform traditional project management by enhancing collaboration, adaptability, and value delivery in our daily activities. We hope you found today's discussion inspiring and full of practical insights. We are excited to invite you in our upcoming monthly sessions. We are having these sessions every month where we'll be exploring different topics on project management, innovation, and technology in various areas, including AI and all sorts of those areas. Each sessions will provide you fresh perspective, actionable strategies to help you grow and be more innovative in your professional journey, in your deliveries, in your way of working. Thank you very much for all your participation today, and we look forward to seeing you at our next sessions. The invitation and topics will be shared via our social media platforms through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Those invitation will be shared, and you'll receive the notification. Please don't miss our next session, and we'll be glad to have you in our coming presentation. Thank you very much, and may God bless you. Caroline, a big applause to you, my dear. You did a very wonderful presentation, and we will love to have you in our coming sessions as well. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you in the next session in 1 month's time. Thank you.
Thank you.